Yeah, that's right. We had a bit of an electrical problem with number one in the first one, so the time we did on the first wasn't what we were capable of. Yeah, like we kept our fingers crossed for the weather, and luckily it stayed dry back on number one, and we managed to string a few hot laps together.
Qualifying in 7th place, Steve Plater was now the only Kawasaki rider. Marty Craggill crashed at Duffer Stip and broke his collarbone on Thursday. Former championship leader John Reynolds will start from row 2. He looked relaxed despite the pressure of business. Maybe it was the weather, but keeping a straight face just didn't seem possible for anyone.
Well, John, there's so little in it in terms of time out there.
You've gone now, you've lost it. It's a call for you.
As if Mr. Reynolds wasn't enough, Claire had Demon Vimto Honda's Amorous Bear to contend with. The Superbikes will be singing in the rain at Knock Hill next. Race morning at Knock Hill was a miserable affair. The Superbike warm-up was led by the INS Ducati duo of Mackenzie and Hodgson, with Reynolds third, but heavy rain was forecast. Difficult conditions, even if you know the track well, so spare a thought for a complete newcomer. Claire caught up with Demon Vimto Honda's new boy.
Well, Tom Kipp in to replace, obviously, the injured James Toseland. You've got a very impressive career on paper. Indeed, you're the current 750 AMA Supersport champion, aren't you?
Yeah, last year, you know, we had a pretty good season back in the States, and I took the better half of this year off to try and get a few things fixed physically. And you know, Paul Bird had called about a week ago and asked me if I would like to join a team for the rest of the season, and so we flew over here in a matter of a couple days' notice, and here we are.
In at the deep end. Well, of course, in at the deep end here at Knock Hill. Yeah. Obviously not any circuit knowledge at all, but it's not particularly going that well for you yesterday, was it?
No, it wasn't a real great start. I think we ended up qualifying 14th or so, and I had hoped to be, you know, well inside the top 10, but you know, the fact is that Knock Hill is actually sort of a tricky track to learn. It's narrow and it's rather bumpy, and there's basically one fast line, and you know, my job is to find it.
Well, I think it kind of sums up what you must feel about the British Championships, to come in, a rider of your calibre, on a bike that's not perhaps been performing as well as it may be expected to be, not as competitive as it may be as some of the other bikes.
Yeah, the British Championship is an impressive series, more so than I think a lot of the riders in the US give it credit for, but it's a very it's quite a challenge. I mean, there's a lot of very, very fast guys out there, and on some pretty good equipment, so I think the Paul Bird Honda and the Vimto Honda, you know, it might be a little down on top speed, but the chassis is working good, and hopefully, you know, we'll be able to bring it together here later on today.
Of course, you had a chance out there yesterday to sample some of our nice Scottish weather as well. Broken you in gently then, haven't we?
Jeez, it was pretty rude. I thought it was very windy and rainy and cold and just all around nasty, but today's supposed to be a little bit better, and that's what they tell me anyway, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, Tom, we wish you the best of luck, and we look forward to seeing you in action. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.
Did someone mention better weather? Race 1 of the Superbikes is wet. Mackenzie, though, was quick in warm-up this morning, and he was quick in qualifying too. Chris Walker in 2nd place, James Hayden a remarkable 3rd, Neil Hodgson 4th. John Reynolds, John Crawford, Steve Plater and John Crockford round out the top 8, with Sean Emmett, Michael Rutter and Paul Young on the Level 3 Yamahas 10th and 11th. Paul Brown, Davey Wood, Tom Kipp, Dave Hill and Gordon Blackley complete the top 16.
Well, they have a saying up here, it's not raining, they're just washing the fresh air, but it doesn't seem to bother the crowd. They've come out in force to see their guys. It seems like the whole of Scotland are here actually, and there'll be some huge support for this guy here, John Crawford, obviously wanting to perform well in front of his home crowd. Next to him we have got John Reynolds. Now he's got to get a good start here on the 2nd row, he knows that. Moving on to the front row, and how good is it to see this guy on pole position, his first pole position of the season. Could be the man to beat today. He knows this circuit better than anyone, and he's got some serious support here today. Well, how proud are we of our British guys? 3 out of a possible 6 podium places the other weekend at Brands Hatch. Stalker, brilliant as ever. Really frustrating for James Hayden, of course. He's still suffering from that injury, and of course it is a very demanding circuit here, so we hope that he can last the distance. Hero of the hour, of course, it's Neil Hodgson. We can go in and grab a quick word with him. Neil, it's a very tight corner, that first corner down there, and a good start is imperative, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've got the inside line, so maybe fourth is better than first into this first corner.
Good to see the two INS boys on the front row.
Yeah, I'm really pleased for Neil. He's worked hard all weekend and he certainly deserved pole.
Okay, well, the crowd will obviously be cheering for Neil Mackenzie. Let's see if he can do it for Scotland.
The riders come under orders and the machines are restarted. And that's no mad Highlander, but multiple British champion and now Reve Red Bull Ducati manager, Roger Marshall, getting into the spirit of things. He's a lad. Eat your heart out, Jackie Stewart. The whole of Scottish pressure is on Neil Mackenzie on pole. Chris Walker alongside him. Then it's James Hayden and Neil Hodgson. What a line-up on the front row. But look at the state of that track. It's downhill towards the Duffer Stip. It's an infamous corner. They're all going to arrive at it at something like 100 odd miles an hour from the standing start. Mackenzie then to the right of your picture. Whoa, gets it sideways. Mackenzie blows the start, goes sideways and backwards through the pack. Hayden, though, gets it perfect on the Reve Red Bull Ducati in front of the National Tyre Suzuki. Superb start for Hayden. Well, it's not often you beat Walker to turn one, that's for sure, but he has been beaten, and there's a privateer in third place. They call Blackley on the Kawasaki. I can't believe there's a privateer that's managed to sneak through.
Looks like him, Keith, looks like him. I'm looking for Michael Butter, the rainwater. It is Blackley.
Crockford it is. So Crockford has done brilliantly off the second row of the grid. John Crockford on bike 56 has got through. Oh, dear me. Well, that might give these two a chance to get away. Not. There's Plater on bike 22. He's there. And then it's the Rainmeister himself. Yes, Michael Rutter on bike 31 on Race Stringers level 3 bike. The Yamaha up the inside of Crockford. Here goes Rutter.
Well, he's the man you'd have your money on in these conditions, isn't he, Keith? Think back to Brands all those years ago.
Yeah, World Superbike where he beat Foggy and Co. Somebody out on a wide one there. Oh, Rutter gets it set
Hodgson,
out.
that was.
Hodgson, it was indeed. Hodgson out wide. So Neil Hodgson, the series leader, has a load of problems, and so does his teammate Neil Mackenzie, the pole sitter. He lit it up at the start. And look at this, Michael Rutter. And Paul Young's here, number 96, Paul Young. That's the other level 3 Yamaha as well. Ray Stringer will be having heart failure, about as big as you.
And Crockford not giving up on it, is he? Number 56. The yellow plate tells you he's a privateer.
John Crockford done absolutely brilliantly. He's got 6 works bikes behind him if you include his lot, and of course Tom Kipp, but 4 ones that are going very quick. Look at Plater there. Plater's right in the making of it. He had a big off at Alton Park.
This is Mackenzie from the start.
Oh.
As you said, you saw it, Keith, getting absolutely sideways, and the whole field nearly piles past the Ducati man.
Yeah, and he's got loads of work to do from there. So Duffer's Dip, scary enough if you're in front, let alone when you're mired back.
Oof.
Oh, dear me.
That was Tom Kipp.
Yeah, Tom Kipp obviously learning it well. Back with Crockford. Crockford under pressure now from Paul Young, and Plater. Plater goes through as well. Although he doesn't discretion the better part of Ella. I was about to say he got beaten up at Alton Park. He's had a big off with Hodgson. Hodgson out there as well. Then he had a big off with Hodgson on Friday, I think.
In qualifying, Keith, indeed he did.
Ah, now then. Hayden versus Walker. Walker leads. Walker leads. So has taken over the lead from James Hayden. Hayden slips back to second. He'll be actually quite well pressed to sit there behind Chris Walker, because Walker looks like he's on a bit of a mission to me. Maybe Hayden's neck is troubling him. Mind you, this weather being wet, it should take a bit of the whack out of the track. It should make things a little smoother, allegedly.
Allegedly, Yvonne. And Hodgson, of course, the big loser here at the moment, back in the pack. We saw him running wide, and his rival in the championship title hits the front, and it's not often you see the stalker hunted down, but Hayden shows no signs of giving up the chase.
James Hayden then on the Reve Red Bull Ducati chases the National Tyre Suzuki. Oh dear me, round Railway Bend there. They've got it sideways on, as has 31 Michael Rutter in third place. Well, Michael Rutter, we can't say enough about this man in the wet.
Absolutely, Keith.
Really, he is going.
Oh, you were saying?
Yes, I tell you, I went and stood down there in the damp earlier on in the day, and that is so slippery on that track. It's like an ice rink down there. You can't believe it. Over the hill. Look at this. Up towards Duffer's Dip now. This is the third place man, Michael Rutter. Well, this track used extensively for cars, testing and corporate days. Maybe that's what's made the top of the track a bit slippery, but really with rain on it, I cannot believe it's the slipperiest track I've ever stood on in my life.
Did Michael get up the curves on the Taylor's hairpin just then a bit, do you think, on the inside?
You can't quite see that hairpin, just how uphill it is. It's actually quite a difficult hairpin. Ah, Neil Mackenzie then, he's in 10th place. He's in 10th place, qualified on pole. mind you, judging by the way he went backwards at the start, he's not doing too bad in 10th place, but look at the work he's got to do. And there's a line starting to dry very slightly in the middle here. It's very wet off of the line, so you can't possibly go off of it. There's Tom Kipp in front there, the American that's been imported. There he is, 52 Tom Kipp, been imported by Paul Byrne. Reckon he couldn't find any good British riders. Look at Mackenzie trying hard there. Sideways, they've got John Crawford, fellow Scott behind him.